Hey everyone, this is Cress, and I'm doing my SPS team breakdown. So, a little bit of background about SPS. So, SPS is a point based draft league, and it's going into its third season after it rebranded. And so, the league is structured where there's four different divisions, and they're based on skill level. So, the lowest division is Zapdos, above that is Articuno, above that is Moltres, and then at the highest is Lugia. So, I ended up applying for this league, and it was a pretty lengthy application process. Um, I didn't really know many of the people that were actually in the league. Um, I was kind of unknown because I kind of came off a break from draft league, just with like school and all that stuff. But luckily, they held a lot of like speed tours and stuff like that to like kind of judge some newer players that they didn't really weren't familiar with. So I was able to go into one of those and actually win that. So that definitely played a big role into how I was placed into the top division actually in Lugia. Um, and yeah, each division has 16 players, so a lot of players in each division. It's a really big league, so I'm excited to play in it. I'm excited for some good battles. But anyways, I'll start talking about my team. So I ended up having the second pick in the draft, which you think is a really really good pick, but I'm actually more comfortable picking around the middle. That's typically where I end up landing, and I'm usually quite comfortable with picking around the middle because I like kind of having that middle spot for some reason. Um, so when having that second pick, having pretty much everything except draftable available to me, was a bit difficult to decide what I wanted. Um, so pretty much I was debating between two wands primarily in Mega Deontay and then Urshifu Single Strike. Um, Mega Deontay I actually used in the Speed Tour in like a grassy terrain team with Rillaboom and Hawlucha, and that worked really well. I've never gotten to draft Urshifu Single Strike because usually it's taken by the time it gets to me, and I know Urshifu is just ridiculously strong with Wicked Blow and Close Combat combination, so I ended up going with Urshifu. But yeah, Urshifu is ridiculous. 130 attack, good, good, not great speed in the 97, but it's also really quite bulky on the physical end, and this thing can run a few different sets quite well. Obviously you have Choice Band and Choice Scarf. You have stuff like Bulk Up. I can see myself even potentially running something along the lines of an Assault Vest variant, but Urshifu is just really good. Obviously with the close combat Wicked Blow and then Sucker Punch combination is really good. You also have great coverage moves in Poison Jab and Iron Head. Obviously the Fire Punch, Ice Punch, Thunder Punch, and you even have U-Turn to switch out and get momentum. So the combination of me never using Urshifu and then just knowing how deadly it is, especially on like the OU ladder and stuff like that, I was like, let's give it a go. Let's try it out. So when I drafted Urshifu, I pretty much um, thought to myself, I really want to build a really strong Dark Psychic Ghost core because that's one of those cores where it kind of gets overlooked at times, but that's one of the scariest cores to have to play if your opponent has a really good Dark Psychic Ghost core. So that was kind of like what I was trying to build my team around was a really strong Dark Psychic Ghost core. So we grab Urshifu first round, and then we have to wait a long time, like 30 picks, until our second and third picks. So a lot of good things got taken. I was looking at stuff like Zapdos. I figured it probably want to get back to me, but it was still hard to see that thing get drafted because I kind of wanted to, static everything. But it got back to me, and um, I ended up taking Ascadrill. Um, and the reason why I took that was because I really do value speed in draft format, um, and a lot of the really fast things were getting taken, and I wanted to have something to where I wanted to have Extra because Sand Rush Drill is such a threat, and having that double speed in sand can be really, really nice if I'm just completely outsped by an opponent's team and I need to have that speed available to me. But obviously, Drill doesn't just rely on that Sand Rush ability. It has one of the best abilities too in Mold Breaker, where I can just spam ground type moves against Levitate users. But Drill's is phenomenal, man. I mean, insanely high attack, great typing offensively in ground and steel. And this thing can just do a lot of different things. Obviously, you can run Life Orb Attacker with Mold Breaker or Sand Rush and just hit extremely hard. You have some pretty good coverage moves like Rock Slide and stuff like Poison Jab and some decent stuff like that. Brick Break's not terrible. Axes are in Shadow Claw aren't bad either. But this thing's also really, really good as a spinner. So, and then um, you got to be careful because, you can always run like a rapid spin sword stance set, and that thing can potentially just sweep you if you're not careful. But Drill is a mod I've actually never drafted too. Um, so that was another reason why I wanted to take Drill because, just really, really good mod. And I really like how we're putting so much pressure on the physical side with these two mods, being Urshifu and X Drill. So then I had to wait 2 picks, and I ended up taking Latias. So I would have preferred to get Latios, but Latios was taken second round, which, kind of expected. That thing hits insanely hard. It got a lot of good new moves. But Latios got those exact same moves, and it's very similar to Latios, where, has the same speed. The only difference really is that Latios has 10 higher defense, 10 less attack, and then it has a special attack and special defense switch with Latios. Um, so this thing's insanely bulky on the special side and still hits really, really hard on the special side as well. Good ability to levitate, good offensive typing in Dragon and Psychic, and with this thing getting access to stuff like Mystical Fire and Aura Spear, so it didn't matter that Hidden Power got axed. Latias is really, really good. This thing can be a great Scarfer, great bulky Pokemon with like a bulky Calm Mind roost set. Um, this thing could do a lot. It's a great defogger that's off the ground, so great for stuff like sticky webs. Um, but this thing is just really, really good one. I really like the Lottie twins, and I think a lot of people sleep on them a lot of times. So I was really pleased with getting Latias at the beginning of the round 3. Um, so after my kind of like wheel picks there, a lot of things I taken, I was kind of like confused with what I wanted. Um, I knew that I really wanted to try Spectre out, um, because I think Spectre is just a really strong Pokemon, and Gengar is there, but I kind of prefer to go Spectre because of its speed and just overall power, even though it does lack that coverage. But before that, I ended up taking Tapu Bulu, and the reason for why I took Tapu Bulu, it looks kind of weird when you have an Aquadrill, and I'm planning to run Sand to some extent. So you're like, okay, well you just have your EQ damage. However, it's not completely terrible to pair with Excadrill because Excadrill does luckily have a slightly worse ground type move in high horsepower, which is 95 power, so only 5 power less than Earthquake, and has 95 accuracy. So it's overall a pretty good ground type move still. So it's really not really a big downgrade from Earthquake. Um, and I wanted Bulu because I wanted to have a good grass type to kill bulky ground types and bulky water types because I felt like those could be big problems with the 3 mods that I drafted so far. So I wanted to have something that could really just eliminate those kind of Pokemon. And Bulu's really good, obviously insanely good attack, pretty bulky. You can run physical stats. You can run AV very well on this thing. Sword Stance stats are really good. Um, Overall, this thing can do a lot of good stuff. And I also was kind of confused with what kind of fairy I wanted. So having that fairy type cover as well with Bulu was good. Even though it didn't get playoff, it does have Dazzling Gleam, so it has some kind of fairy type move, which is good. And its special attack's not terrible, base 85. So, I was pretty happy with Bulu. And, uh, if I really don't want to run Grassy Surge for a match, I can even run Telepathy, so I can run EQ with Extra and run an EQ on maybe some other mons. But yeah. Next, we ended up taking Spectre. And I was really happy with getting Spectre because I think this thing's really good. Um, if like if your opponent doesn't have a really good dark type and or a really good bulky like normal type, Spectre can kind of just come in and just kind of body you. With 145 special attack and 130 speed, this thing's ridiculous. Obviously, Pokemon did it dirty by giving it terrible move pool. Really, the only notable moves like Hyper Beam, Dark Pulse, and Mud Shot, aside from like Shadow Ball and Hex. But the good thing about Spectre is it can get around certain dark types and normal types if you have like stuff like Taunt, you have Sub, you also have stuff like Will-O-Wisp. Um, you can kind of get creative with some of your sets with Spectre in League, so you can actually get around those typings occasionally. And I felt like my team was pretty good at dealing with those dark and normal types at this point, especially with having Urshifu Single Strike. And I really wanted to pair Urshifu Single Strike with Spectre. That was like my big idea that I wanted to try. So I was really happy with getting Spectre there. And I think this thing can be a really strong mon. I really like its speed, obviously. Having that base 130 speed Pokemon is great. Um, so that was my fourth and fifth picks. So again, I had to wait a long time, but I was still kind of unsure with what exactly I wanted to go after this. So I decided just to pick up Gigalith for my sixth pick. Make sure I secure a good sand setter because I didn't want to spend the points on Hippo or T-Tar. Just didn't interest me. And Gigalith is a really good Pokemon. Like you don't have to run this thing just to support Drill. This thing's really good. Obviously, a crazy high attack and 135, really good defense, and 80 special defense. That's also raised by 1.5 times in Sand. Um, so this thing's really good. You know, you can slap an assault vest set and just eat special hits for days. It reminds me a lot like Alola Muck, where you just eat hits on the special side very well. But you can also eat hits on the physical side very well. I could run stuff like Choice Band on this even if I wanted to and make it more offensive variant. Um, and I mean, this thing's just really strong. Also cool that I got Body Press, so if I run more of a physically defensive one, you can also do that. Um, but I think Gigalith was a really, really good Pokemon, and I don't need to have it support Drill for Sand. It's not just there for Sand. Like, it's just a really bulky Pokemon in general that can also tear holes in opponents' teams if they don't come prepared for an offensive one. Um, so that was my sixth pick. When it came back to me for after two picks to my seventh, I decided to take a Pokemon that I'm very comfortable with using, and that's Avalugg. I really like Avalugg. Um, this thing really gets slept on. It was 6 points. No, it was 5 points, which I think is a disservice to this man because this thing is fun as hell to use. Um, I remember I was spamming Avalugg like when the first DLC came out. Well, actually, before the first DLC came out, this thing was like one of the best mods in UU because it was a great answer to stuff like Banded Haxorus. Like a Banded Haxorus Outrage doesn't two shot. This thing's just ridiculously bulky on the physical end, and it got like obviously with heavy duty boots being available, Rapid's been getting that buff, and him getting access to body press. This thing's actually a fucking threat. Um, it's it's just a really good mon. I really enjoy using Avalugg. It's one of my comfort picks. And for it being so cheap and giving me a nice ice type and just a great way to remove dragons, I just couldn't pass on Avalugg. And it just went with any kind of plans that I wanted to go with. So that's why I chose it. And Sturdy is obviously an amazing ability for it. And an on tempo could be useful potentially. So next, uh, I was kind of running low on points, and I kind of had my mega idea in my head. I was debating between, at that point, Mega Slowbro or Mega Blastoise. And so I didn't have a whole lot of points, so I needed to get a fire and a flying type for sure, is what two types I needed. And I look on the dock and I saw that Charizard was only 6 points. And I'm like, Charizard's a pretty decent mod with heavy duty boots now. And it does hit pretty hard and have good speed. And it's a deep fogger. So I had plenty of removal options. And, Charizard kind of stuck out to me. It also got some new moves that were really cool, like Hurricane, which is really useful. Um, and, overall, I just think Charizard's a really cool mod. I think, you can obviously run specs, you can run Scarf on this thing, you can kind of run like a heavy duty boot set, which is like just hard hitting. And I think this thing's pretty good. Another key move that it got was Scorching Sand, so now it has nice special ground type coverage, which is huge for it with that nice 109 special attack is at. And I just think Charizard, like for low tier fire, it's so much better than any of the other low tier fires out there. You look at the other low tier fires, you see stuff like Pyroar, Typhlosion, Magmortar, stuff that's like very, very situational. And I think Charizard's actually not nearly as situational. I'm going to be able to bring Charizard to at least 3 to 4 matches, I feel. Because I feel like Charizard's a really good mon that people are going to have to prep for. So I'm definitely excited for Charizard, and I'm really happy that Hurricane doesn't have lowered accuracy in Sand. That's obviously really nice too. So yeah, I'm looking forward to Charizard. I think it'll be a really good Pokemon. So after that, I was down to my last two picks, and I decided to pick up my Mega because now at this point, everybody had Megas or they had a bulky water. However, a lot of people were talking about in the draft about how they were going to make a ton of transactions, and I'm like, I'm not about to have someone take this and then just to make their grace period easier, even though it doesn't really matter looking back on it. But I'm like, I just don't want to get sniped on this thing because I really wanted to use Mega Slowbro. Um, the reason why I chose Mega Slowbro over Mega Blastoise was because I wanted the bulk. I really want to have something that can just tank physical hits all day, every day. And Mega Slowbro is just ridiculous. Um, and a key thing to know is that it's not first turn Mega. So I can abuse regular Slowbro's Regenerator for as long as I want. And then Mega when I feel like the time is right. But Mega Slowbro is ridiculous. I mean, 180 physical defense. I believe that's the same, a little bit less, just a little bit less than Avalug's. Really good HP in base 95, and not bad special defense at base 80. So you can invest in your HP and special defense and take hits on the special side quite well, and then you just eat hits on the physical side all day. And they gave Slowbro some really cool moves, like obviously body press is super nice, and then they buffed teleport to where it's like it works functions like U-turn, but it's just slower. It doesn't do damage. And I really feel like teleporting Mega Slowbro into like a banded Urshifu or like a Spectre, like that sounds really nasty. Like just get like free like wall breaking opportunities with that teleport. And Slowbro, the thing is too with Mega Slowbro is this thing can get crit with Shell Art, which is actually a really good ability. And you can run stuff like Calm Mind. You can also run stuff like Iron Defense, and you can potentially be a setup sweeper. And I really like that about Mega Slowbro. And the one downside I do see is like I'm kind of built like a little bit of a dark and ghost weakness because I have 3 mons weak to both of those typings. But I felt like I have enough bulk to be able to deal with those. And dark types, I do have a couple good resistances. And ghost, I do have Urshifu. Like Urshifu is great for dealing with dark and ghost types. So I wasn't too worried about that. And I just wanted the bulk for Mega Slowbro. And it also has like an insane move pool because Gen 1 Pokemon, Gen 1 waters especially, just have crazy move pools. So then it was down to my last pick. Well, I had 2 points left, and I could have chosen to go with 2 different Pokemon, but I decided to go with Zebstrika for 2, because I feel like Zebstrika is actually a pretty good electric type. Um, this thing has 3 really cool abilities in Lightning Rod, Motor Drive, and Sap Zipper. Um, Obviously, having another immunity to electric is really nice, especially with some really good electric types out there. And then Sap Zipper is really cool because we had Bulu with Grassy Terrain. With Grassy Surge. So that could be really clutch too. And then Zebstrika doesn't have the best move pool. It doesn't have crazy great stats on the offenses, 180. But it has decent coverage. It has Thunderbolt, Discharge, Overheat. It has Low Kick, stuff like Double Edge. It's not bad. It's definitely doable. And I feel like running like a mixed Life Orb set a lot of times can actually be pretty effective. And with base 116 speed, you can do a lot with that speed. So I'm pretty happy with how with getting Zebstrika for 2 points. I feel like that's a really good price for this good of a mon. But so that's the team. I feel really quite good about the team. I mean, there's a few things that I don't like about it. How like I said, ghost types are a bit of an issue with this team because we don't have a normal type, and we have 3 mons weak to it and only 1 resistance. However, like I said, I think we have really good bulk on both the physical and special side to be able to deal with a lot of hard-hitting ghost types, and not to mention that we took one of the best ghost types in the format. Obviously Dragon Bolt's out there, but Spectre I think is definitely one of the best ghost types out there that's just instantly good at wall breaking. And Gengar actually didn't get drafted, so that's really nice for us. But I feel like we can still deal with it. But yeah, I like the team overall. I feel like we have some pretty good speed tiers too, pretty well ranged. And overall, I just think the team's really good. I'm really looking forward to our first battle here. I'll probably be battling within the next day or two, so I'll make sure to record a video for that, and hope to see you guys soon. And I hope you enjoyed. All right, talk to you guys later. Bye.